So this is an ideal time of year to start holiday planning. We are not talking turkey or tropical vacations, though. This is about taxes and how charitable donations can be a win-win. Financial columnist Lauren Kanya-Franca is here to talk us through the topic. What should we be thinking about when it comes to charitable donations?
Giving is something where cultural values, sociocultural values plays a really big part. And so, settling in and understanding what is important to you, what stood out to you this year, what are things that are really catching your eye in terms of causes, and then making sure that you determine how much you can actually afford to give before you start to give. And it's a great opportunity to give. However, there's going to be lots of opportunities.
Mm-hmm. What tips do you have to determine who you give to or what organizations you give to?
I think mostly just understanding, right now there's a lot that are going to be in need. Currently, we have more Canadians living above the poverty line than we did before the pandemic. However, there's a huge spike in families utilizing the food bank, for example. So the accepted poverty line and the real poverty line, there's a little bit of a difference there. And so if, food security is something that you've, had to experience before, or you've been new to Canada and there's somewhere you can give, or, someone who's dealt with some mental health crises, this is a great time to be able to sort of put your money where your heart is and make that decision based on what matters to you.
Mm-hmm. You want to say yes. Mm-hmm. How do you say no?
Right. There's sometimes the question of how much should I give?
Yeah.
And sometimes the answer is you should not give. If you're not in a position where you're able to afford to give and not put yourself at a disadvantage or put yourself in harm's way in order to do that, then sometimes the answer is no. Or sometimes the answer is no, thank you. That's a complete enough sentence. Or if you're looking for language that's kind of helpful, is you can say, thank you so much. We've already made our contribution for this year, but we'll keep you in mind for next year. It's one of the most challenging jobs out there, and it is driven by heart-centered people. And so making sure that we're respectful in that, but also honoring our own financial needs.
What other, this time of year, when we talk about charitable donations and taxes and things like that, how do we make that decision too?
Yeah, it's an important thing to define, right? We have things like a tax deduction, which we've talked about before. And what that does is reduces the amount that you're taxed on, your taxable income. If you have $2,000 tax deduction and you make $60,000 a year, you're going to be taxed as if you made $58,000. A tax credit, so a monetary charitable donation, like a tax credit, in Alberta, you'll get about half of what you give back as a refund on the tax that you pay. So if you owe $10,000 and you have a $1,000 tax credit, you'll only owe $9,000 and you'll get a refund. So it can be kind of a strategic thing that you do both to help your community and be able to reduce how much tax you pay each year.
Mm-hmm. Are there any other kind of tax deductions, things like that we should be thinking about this time of year?
We do start to think about RSP deadlines and that sort of thing. But in terms of tax credit, first-time home buyers tax credit is a big one. Obviously, if you're a first-time home buyer, the Canadian training credit. So if you're going back to school, you can claim a portion of your tuition. And then things like disability tax credit, if you qualify and you've never applied, those are things you can start to look at to think about how do I prepare for the next tax season.
Lauren, thank you so much. I always appreciate your time.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you.